Aloha! It's been an incredible and devastating few weeks for the residents in Lower Puna. Dozens of homes lost, hundreds of acres now covered by lava, and countless lives forever changed. In this Hawaii News Now special digital documentary, we take a look back at the historic Kilauea eruption by talking to the reporters on the ground who have been there from the first cracks and fissure to the lava flow reaching the ocean. Hawaii News Now presents Pele's Path, Eyewitness to History.
If there's one way to describe what the situation here has been, it's unpredictable. It's unlike anything I've ever covered.
Things were changing so rapidly.
There have been so many turning points. Every which way you wake up and you have no idea what you're going to do, what's going to happen.
We're up next to the fissure right now and it is going.
We rolled up to Leilani Estates and got out of the car, and it was right there. And it was unlike anything I've ever heard in my life.
We knew it was serious.
I don't even know if my house is still standing.
We do not know when this is going to stop.
The danger is just beginning.
We as journalists, we get to go home at the end of the day, but they're here. These residents of Puna, they live here. This is their community.
Yeah, my son asks, Mommy, can we go home?
We have met all of those people. We've spoken with all of those people, and it really, it sticks with you. It doesn't go away.
Troubling changes at Kilauea prompted Big Island authorities to activate their emergency operations center today. Significant activity along Kilauea's East Rift Zone started yesterday afternoon.
I arrived with my photographer for the first time on May 2nd. So that was when we had been hearing that because of the deflation that had happened at Pu'u'o'o crater on April 30th, that there was the possibility for an eruptive event to happen anywhere along the lower East Rift Zone with little to no warning.
Breaking news on the east side of the Big Island tonight as Madam Pele shows herself in Leilani Estates. The eruption began about 4 this afternoon, spouting with little warning.
Ikaika Marzo, who had been monitoring the situation on the ground, checking out reports that they were hearing from folks about these cracks on the road, and he was there in Leilani Estates when the very first fissure opened up.
Yeah, after that we started to go door to door, try to get people evacuated out of here.
And sure enough, we rolled up to Leilani Estates and got out of the car, and it was right there. It was right there.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, we're out of here. Thank you.
It literally was. Lava came out of the ground at 3:45 or thereabouts, or 3:30, and by 8:30 we were in Hilo. We went to the Emergency Operations Center. That was the best place to be because they were trying to get as much information as possible, aggregate it all in one spot as best they could.
And this is phase one, so don't misinterpret that this is it.
Of course, as people were getting the notice to evacuate, we spoke with one gentleman who had just piled up as much as he could quickly grab into his truck, and he was peeling out of the neighborhood, and he stopped to ask us if we had more information, and we were live still on television because we were wall to wall at that point, right? This eruption was happening in the middle of this community, and I'll never forget how unbelievably just terrified he looked, and just so sad.
And it was really smoking bad. You could smell it in the air.
This is Pohiki Road. Get cut now.
So the first day we got there was May 4th, and that was the first full day of the eruption. It started in the afternoon of May 3rd. When we got on the ground, the first thing I wanted to do was get in a chopper. And the reason we wanted to get in a chopper was so that we could just get a perspective of this flow. You know, the fissures were starting to pop up, but we didn't get an idea of how straight that line was until that day.
But from here, you can see the clear path. The lava is cutting right through the Leilani Estate.
It's gotten a lot longer, absolutely. When we first got there, it was just one plume of smoke. Now it looks like there's multiple spots along that line.
The second day we were there was when Halema'uma'u and that earthquake, the 6.9 earthquake Friday, changed everything. Oh.
That was an unbelievable experience, 6.9 magnitude. And again, that was after the 5.5 that had triggered the rock fall at Pu'u'o'o, and everyone had thought, oh no, what is happening? There's been something like 1,000 earthquakes in the last 2 weeks.
It was a big eye-opener because it lasted a long time. It was a constant just rocking, and it didn't stop for a good long, maybe 15 to 20 seconds. You definitely felt it.
And all of a sudden, everything just started shaking the shelves. All the pictures are falling off the shelves. This was by far the strongest earthquake that I've ever experienced living here in Hilo. So I was definitely very scared, and more scared for my grandma's safety.
It's the biggest earthquake on the Big Island, at least as far as I know, since the 1975. We're in the clear for this earthquake. In terms of any kind of a tsunami threat.
No end in sight. This aerial video from the Hawaii National Guard shows several of the new fissures that opened today in Leilani Estate.
Some of them are several hundred yards long. The USGS has counted at least 6 vents spewing lava off and on since the first one opened up yesterday afternoon. On top of all that, today, Hawaii's strongest earthquake in 43 years. A 6.9 Temblor, followed by this column of ash at the Pu'u'o'o crater today.
It was this huge plume. It was so dark. And then the plume started changing colors. It went from black to gray to blue to even pink. And then to hear the rumble of the plume from the crater, that was a major turning point for me.
Everybody refers to this eruption as dynamic, and that really is the best way to describe it because it changes constantly. So Friday was the earthquake. Saturday, then the parks closed for long term, and that was a big turning point when you realize the seriousness, because that is one of the biggest tourist attractions in this state. And to say we're closing that park, that brings in all those dollars and brings in all those resources. We knew it was serious.
I have never seen anything like this today. It was extremely exciting and super dramatic. That plume cloud just jetted up. It darkened the sky out towards the southwest rift zone.
It drained below the water table. As the lava lake lowered, you get rocks falling in from the sides, creating kind of a plug. Water is mixing. You have steam. It's being plugged, the pressure builds, and ultimately the pressure builds great enough that it blasts up through that. So this is our concern if the lava lake continues to drop and goes below water table.
Boom! We got, it's exploding, guys. Take a look, we're gonna have we just felt a little boom, a little earthquake.
Never before have we depended so much on social media. This event is historic, and documenting it is so important. And seeing all those people on the ground, Ikaika Marzo, Andrew Hara, they've done an amazing job, but all of the homeowners as well, people who live there, just when these fissures would pop up and they would start recording, you know, that is important, not just for the study of where these fissures are popping up, but for us to let people know where these flows are coming from.
I was escorted by the National Guard to see lava. The big issue was access.
The guy from the National Guard told us that, okay, I'm working on getting you guys in. It'll probably happen sometime tomorrow. What do you guys need? Aerials are on the ground. And I said on the ground because we had access to aerials.
This particular lava flow entered Leilani Estates yesterday. It has cooled down somewhat, but you can still see the flames and the glow. And even from the distance that we're at, about 10 feet away, you can still feel the heat.
In the moment, you don't think to enjoy the moment or just experience the moment, because we're looking through an eyepiece, we're looking at things electronically, we're looking through a viewfinder. We're not, sometimes our eyes are just stuck on that. We're not actually looking at the actual lava.
As a photographer, obviously, a lot of the times the first thing we're thinking of is visuals, right? How it looks visually. And I mean, lava is just stunning to watch the way that it flows, to watch the way that it spouts when it does, to see so many fissures go as high as they do. It's an amazing sight to see. On the other hand, I've also had a chance to go to some of the community centers and a lot of the other places where these displaced people are going to.
It's traumatic, really. The trauma could be felt at the evacuation centers.
It's kind of challenging to live with a bunch of people and dogs, and everybody's kind of on edge.
Came and got the rest of our stuff. We tried to come in yesterday, they wouldn't allow us in, but today they said, you know, enter at your own risk, and so here we are.
When we got on the ground in Leilani Estates, we were following a resident who lives right next to fissure number 1, and we watched her evacuating her things so quickly, with the reality that she may never go back to her home permanently. It was really striking.
It was just like the most joyful gratitude of, oh yes, you know, we can go back and get those things we can get our hands on.
There's roadblocks that you notice right away, and as you go down the hill, you can see that Leilani Avenue doesn't exist anymore. There's a black lava thing, and everything's all gone.
The impact of what that reality is, and saying goodbye, and just hoping for the best, but not knowing.
Because right now it really is just about the everyday crisis of this unfolding, of a new fissure, of a new flow, of another explosive, you know, rock fall or steam explosion coming from Halemaumau crater, and all the unknown.
Hurricanes, tropical systems, we know approximately how long it will last and that it will end soon. This one is different in that we do not know when this is going to stop. We don't know when this is going to end. That's the big difference.
There was a period where things died down for a minute. Over the first weekend, the fissures seemed to kind of calm down. But once that next week took a turn, the fissures just started firing, and it hasn't stopped since.
Experts confirmed a chemical change in the magma. What we're seeing tonight is the fresher, gassier lava.
Geologists have been warning that this would speed up the flows. Our Mileka Lincoln has an incredible vantage point tonight near one of those outbreaks. Mileka?
Aloha Keahi, Steph. What we have seen speed up certainly is how quickly the situation out here on the scene unfolds and changes. We've been out here for several hours now as invited guests of private property owners who have a lot near Puna Geothermal Venture just outside of Lenny Puna Gardens, and their front yard is this incredible panoramic view of 4 of the most active of the 22 fissures that have broken out here along the lower East Rift Zone. We have heard the booming explosions of gas vents opening up near an extraordinarily dynamic fissure 19 that has sent a fountain of lava spewing upwards about 500 feet throughout the day consistently today.
I don't see any indication of it slowing down at any rate, no. This is fluid lava coming out. I mean, this is pohoi hoi shooting up, and it's just flowing out and building up and building up and building up until she's solid. And it's mind-blowing.
Everyone in our neighborhood is either left, leaving, or making plans. There's no way you cannot be fearful seeing what has happened in Leilani.
So the Puna Geothermal Venture, it's a geothermal plant, and there were a lot of protests before it opened, a lot of concern from residents, understandably. And then as this time went on and these flows started coming toward them, Pahoa in 2014, but now this one seems a lot more real. First, PGV really didn't come forward with any information. What was really eye-opening for me was when I came back to Honolulu and I interviewed the governor.
Thursday and Friday of last week, we had already identified that as an issue and had made a request that they move it off-site as soon as possible.
And what was the reaction you got when you requested that right away?
They said they would get on it, and it's still on the site, and that's why I'm taking this action today.
And this was the first time that I had heard him say they just weren't moving fast enough, and he wanted to move this along faster, and that's the reason for this proclamation. They basically wanted to seize control of PGV and get the pentane out of there and then start working on sealing the wells.
So Madam Pele continues to put on a show. So far, about 50 structures have been destroyed.
There has been so much activity in Puna that officials have actually stopped estimating the acreage that the lava is covering. And more explosive events, those could happen at any time. One of the bigger concerns right now is a lava threat at the Puna geothermal venture. PGV officials say that they have plugged the last well, the 11th one, with a mud-like substance.
Another point of this story was seeing the 20-foot wall of lava that had crossed Highway 137.
I mean, how huge this thing is, you know, I'm just, the magnitude of the flow and everything, I'm just speechless.
While we were checking out the lava wall, we heard a frightening sound, so the National Guard ordered everyone to get back.
We just heard an explosion. There's a 20-foot wall of lava behind us, and we heard an explosion, so we were just told to get out.
There's some active lava that's popping pretty close by, and so you just, again, you don't want to be around when 2,000-degree lava starts to splatter.
It was really amazing to see. It's sad, but it's also amazing because new land is being created at the same time. But this wall of lava that crossed Highway 137 was 20 feet. That's 2 stories. And each finger of lava is about 200 yards wide. So that's incredible.
But my mom's from the Big Island, so I remember in the 80s, we would climb the lychee trees in Panaeva and we would see the fountaining of the eruption, and that's when it took Kalapana. And I will never forget those moments. Here, it wasn't so much the fountaining, but it really is that SO2, that feeling that you can't breathe. And that's why my voice is how it is now. Officials estimate hundreds of people are refusing to leave their homes, refusing to evacuate, both in the evacuation zone and outside of it. And they want to remind people these fissures can pop up anywhere and can reactivate at any time. Health officials say it's not just the lava, the downed power lines, or the cracks in the road, but the high levels of sulfur dioxide that can cover a large area and affect a lot of people, especially those with respiratory problems.
We can't force them, we can't force anybody. We're just highly recommending for your safety and the safety of first responders to please evacuate.
Stuck in Leilani Estates. Anybody can send help. We're on Moku Street.
A man used Instagram Tuesday to ask for help after his vehicle became disabled in Leilani Estates and SO2 levels soared. He did get rescued.
We have some National Guard soldiers working with the fire department measuring the air, and they're not only measuring it for the residents, they're measuring it for the first responders.
So we went in and we had the masks. We had the masks the firefighters used that were filtered for gas and acid gas. And yet we could still feel the effects. So we had an SO2 detector, and the SO2 detector, when it hits 1.0, it's considered red zone. When we were in an area where Fissure 6 was firing and erupting violently at the time, it got up to 4.5. So we ran, we put our masks on, and we were running to get out of there because officials had told us at 4.5 or 5, you need to run. And these people who are staying in the area, they're getting that constantly.
This has been a slow moving, constant source of anxiety and worry and concern. And believe me, it's beautiful to watch it. It is incredible to see just the power of creation, literally earth being built up before your eyes. But there's also been so much loss as a result of it, and so much heartache, mostly because of the unknown.
I remember telling myself, this may be the last time I come back. And if it is, that's okay.
I think about Amber, the Pahoa Elementary School teacher who was the very first to lose her house. And on the day that we had interviewed her, it was only 2 days after. And I'll never forget asking her what she had explained to her children, why they hadn't been home yet. And just watching her just be overwhelmed with emotion, having to tell me that she hasn't even told them yet.
I need to figure that out. Yeah, my son asks, Mommy, can we go home? This will be the beginning of a new chapter in my life. And I know that God has greater plans for me. And whatever that may be, I am okay with it.
As impressive as the lava is, what really has struck me is speaking to the people of Leilani Estates, the people of Puna who are going through this. And, you know, just meeting them, I feel like they're now members of my extended ohana. When I went back to Honolulu, I was thinking about them constantly, wondering if they're okay, and just wondering how they're going to live their lives, how it's been forever changed by this eruption. There are folks like Susie Osborne, the leader of Kua'okala Charter School, who not only evacuated her home, she's evacuating her school.
There's a lot of emotion, but I just, pule kako every moment, every day, and just have gratitude and know that it's all, divinely perfect. And listen to those booms in the background. Wow.
These residents really had an impact on me personally. To see the folks at Pu'uhonua o Puna coming together as a community, giving all that they can to other residents who may be displaced for quite a while, it's really unknown. I'm just really impressed by how the community of Puna has come together to help not only themselves, but to other people.
Welcome to Pu'uhonua o Puna. This is an information hub, a donation drop-off, and a supply distribution center that has been established at the corner of Highway 130 and Pahoa-Kapoho Road, specifically with the intention to connect the evacuees of Leilani Estates and Lanipuna Gardens with the services and the supplies, the assistance that they need. Now, this was built from the ground up by the community, for the community, made possible under the leadership of Ikaika Marzo.
Sure, the civil defense guys are super swamped at their headquarters, and but it's awesome to have the governor come here and see what we're doing as a community, supporting the community, giving the community what they want in this time of need. The intention was just to help out the people that are affected by the lava flow.
The last night that I was there on the first trip, what had been a grassy field across the street from Pahoa High School was now a beehive of activity, of tents and containers with people bringing in donations and supplies and extra clothing and in the pouring rain, no less, and there's mud everywhere. But it showed to me once again the resilience of the people of this area.
I just wish the people of Puna the best. We don't know how long this eruption will last. And they have so many uncertain things in their lives, and it's really hard to fathom. We as journalists, we get to go home at the end of the day, but they're here. These residents of Puna, they live here. This is their community. And they're not leaving unless they absolutely have to. And so all of them are in our thoughts, they're in our prayers, and we just hope they stay safe.
This morning we are hearing from the man whose leg got shattered by a lava bomb. And we want to warn you that the details are graphic.
It was the most forceful impact I've ever had in my body in my life.
Daryl Clinton was caring for 2 homes on his friend's property near Kapoho. The spatter of lava shattered windows, left holes in the roof, and took out the septic tank. And then on Saturday, some lava struck him.
It was about that big around. It hit my leg right here and threw me against the wall. Landed on a sofa chair that was on fire from the lava exploding. So I just got that out, fell on the floor, and then my foot fell off my leg right here. So it was like a hinge where my ankle and my leg bone were detached like this.
What's happening right now, of course, is nobody can control it, right? Mother Nature, Tutu Pele, Aila'au, whatever it is that you want to refer to it as, whatever it is that you may believe it to be, the one thing that is universal about it is that there's nothing that anyone can do. And oftentimes when you're covering sort of a crisis like this as it's unfolding every day, sometimes you can forget that there's a real human part to the emergency as well. You know, we're so committed to trying to provide people with the information that they need about the areas that they need to avoid, the roads that are open or not open, or the sulfur levels, whatever they may be. But what you're not thinking about, at least in the initial stages, in terms of reporting, is sharing the stories of the people who are being impacted by it. And yet we have met all of those people. We've spoken with all of those people, and it really, it sticks with you. It doesn't go away.